Did he actually care? Did he care about me? Did he care about the relationship? All it seems to be is completely fake. Just a whole thing that has been made up. Did I waste all of these years for just the whole reason of it blowing up into my face and he didn't actually care? Like, this is a piece that my wife questioned so many times. Did I actually care? Did I care about her? Did I care about our daughter? Did I care about anything that was actually going on? Because I wasn't showing that. I wasn't showing that I cared by cheating. I wasn't showing that I cared by texting other women. I wasn't showing that I cared by investing emotionally into other people. I wasn't showing anybody that I actually cared about anything at all except for what I wanted. Does this resonate with you? Because oftentimes people find themselves in a toxic relationship where the other person is doing things to you that you don't appreciate, that you don't like, and that oftentimes are abusive. And you wind up asking yourself, does he actually care? Does he actually care about me? Now, this is hard when the other person is saying that I care. Like, think for instance, I would tell my wife I cared. I would tell my wife I loved her. I would tell my wife all these things, but I wouldn't actually show it. I wouldn't actually demonstrate it. But what I would do is I would say those things and then continue to live my life, continue to do the things that were hurtful and abusive to her just because I wanted to get what I wanted to get. This is the whole piece that confuses and frustrates and leaves people lost of wondering, did he actually care? Did he actually care about you? Oftentimes I talk to different clients and they're sitting in a place where they're like, I don't even know what was real in the relationship. I don't even know if he actually cared about me at all. And oftentimes they get stuck. They get stuck with the rumination, with the beliefs, with the thoughts, with the things that are going through the head of like, well, I don't know if this is actually true. Maybe it's not. Maybe he's not a narcissist. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe it wasn't that abusive. Maybe it's just me making it up. And there's the hard part is you'll leave yourself stuck for such a long period of time thinking through, well, maybe this, maybe that. How many of you watching today right now have been stuck in the land of maybes? You're like, well, maybe he'll change. Maybe he'll get better. Maybe he'll work on this. If that's you right now, type in the word maybe. Just have me understand, hey, like this is something that you're seeing. This is something that's going on where you're like, I'm stuck thinking maybe he's going to change. Maybe he's going to get better. Maybe he's going to figure this out. Maybe I'll heal. Maybe I'm not sure if I'll heal. Because when you get stuck in this land of maybes, you get to a place where you're like, I think maybe this can happen. And you start to believe over and over and over again that it's going to change, but it never does. And oftentimes this starts to run into the aspect of thinking, well, maybe he'll change. Maybe he'll get better. Maybe life won't be as toxic as it's always been. Maybe this will change. The hard part is this maybe ties you into this aspect of a hope and there being a possibility that something will happen. This is where the narcissist is taking the carrot and is putting it in front of you over and over and over again, making you think if I just stick it out a little bit longer, maybe we'll get through this. If I change something about how I'm actually acting, how I'm showing up, maybe he'll love me. Maybe he'll connect with me. If I do something just a little bit better, maybe I can figure this out. Then it leaves you stuck in this land of maybe. We see it all the time. People have been struggling for years thinking it's going to get better, thinking that he's going to change, thinking that it's going to be better than what it actually is, thinking that he actually cared. So let's tell you right now, the narcissist does not care about you. Like, that seems harsh. Yeah, because I need you to hear it. I need you to understand when he says, I love you and I care about you, and then he goes out and cheats on you, that's not care. That's not love. That's not faithfulness. Doesn't care. But he gets me things, but he tells me nice things. Okay, how does he actually demonstrate his honesty? Well, yeah, I guess he does lie to me. Okay, then he doesn't care about you. This is the part that gets really difficult for people to hear, because you hear me say this and you start to think, well, that must mean I'm not worth anything. And what I want you to understand is his level of care or lack of care has nothing to do with your worth. Has nothing to do with how much value you actually have as a human being. But you see, if we're not careful, you'll start to ascribe that to another person. You'll start to ascribe that thinking like, well, if he cares about me, well, if he shows up, well, if I'm validated in this way, then it means that I'm worth something. Then it means that I matter. It's the farthest from the truth that we can be. Your value never stems from another person's opinion of you. Your value never stems from another person, how they view you, what they tell you about you. But see, the hard part is when you're with a toxic person, when you're with a narcissist, you'll be at the place where your value will start to feel like it comes from that person because he builds you up and then he tears you back down. And then he builds you up and then he tears you back down. Makes you feel great and wonderful, starts to compliment you, then he tears you back down. Then he goes, then silent treatment, then back and forth, and leaves you in this land of maybe. Maybe he'll get better. Maybe he'll actually care. Maybe he'll show up. Maybe he'll actually show up for the kids this time. Maybe, and all of a sudden we're in the same exact spot you've been for years, thinking that it's going to get better, but it actually hasn't. Yep, someone said this is like future faking, 100%. Future faking, telling you one thing, showing you one thing, giving you the image of a future, but that future never coming to fruition and that future not being real. Just to get past the moment so the narcissist doesn't have to actually focus on it. So going back to the original question, the original thought, does the narcissist actually care? The answer is no. Some of you might not like to hear that, but you need to hear that. Because if you start to understand that it's not about you and the narcissist doesn't care about you, you're able to actually start to rebuild your life. You're able to actually start to move forward in your growth because you realize that your growth is not dependent on his validation. You realize that your growth is not dependent on whether he actually cares about you or not. This is the thing that you need to hear, and you need to hear loud and clear. The narcissist cares about one thing. Typically, that one thing is his image. Could also be money too, but money going back to the image. The mask, the version that he's putting out there to the rest of the world. So as a result, if you support that, oh, he cares about you. You're a nice little trinket and treat that he puts around his arm and says, look what I have to the public, but then goes back home and abuses because that's not actually who he is. You're like, how do you speak so forcefully about this? Because that's who I was. That's how I showed up. That's how I lied to people over and over and over again, saying, hey, I'm this great person, when in reality, I was not. I was a cheater and I was a liar. And so you need to understand, if you don't have honesty in the relationship, if you don't have vulnerability from the other side, if you don't have someone who's consistently working on their change and their growth, you don't have a relationship. Does the narcissist care? No. It's the easiest way to put it. People sometimes are like, well, but he says he cares. Okay, then show me. He told me I'll always care about you. Is that a way to keep me on the back burner? 100%. It's putting on the back burner and putting on a very low simmer so that you know in the back of your mind that he always is going to care for you. So whenever he reaches out one day, you'll be like, oh, he still cares. Guess what? He never cared. Because a Hoover does not mean care. A Hoover means control. When he's trying to suck you back into the relationship, he's trying to control you again. Even 3 kids later, 100%. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how many kids. We've seen 5 kids, 6 kids, and he still walks away. 8 kids, still walks away. Why? Because he doesn't actually care. Because it's never been demonstrated in the relationship. There's never been a depth to the relationship. There's never been that value that he's actually had for you. Does the narcissist actually care? The easiest answer is no.